Hello there, fellow humans, and welcome to another episode of Your Replays. Now, if you want to send me your replays, put them on my Discord server. Link to that, obviously, down in the description. And today, I really want to talk a little bit more about tanks, because last time I talked about one map specifically. And here we have, for example, a Concept 1B with 3000 DPM, 258 penetration, 380 alpha damage. Very good weapon handling as well, 10 degrees of gun depression, solid mobility, and excellent turret armor as well, with a tiny turret profile as well. Now, obviously, Mines is the perfect map for a vehicle like this one, or the Kranvagn that is right next to. And it is a pretty bad map for something like a T-54E1. So, you wouldn't want to try that thing going up the hill on Mines. Now, it is a medium tank, but it really just pretends to be one, so don't do that. Now, here's the thing. Map knowledge, map control, that's all very important. And here's the thing about World of Tanks Blitz. World of Tanks Blitz is a very difficult and nuanced game. However, the basics are actually very simple. And once you learn those, once you understand those, and once you apply those, the rest just sort of happens on its own if you pay attention, right? So if you try and take map control, if you just have awareness, like just look at where the enemies are. That's the one thing you can do. And obviously, if you're playing on a phone, it's a little bit more difficult. But the awareness of the enemy players is probably the most important thing you can have in World of Tanks Blitz. Like, where are the enemies? What positions do they play? Let's say that IS-7. How fast could that IS-7 come up this hill and start a brawl? Or, for example, how far forward can you go without being shot by the Jagdtiger or the 263 in this position? Right here. Or now the Jagdtiger is moving forward, so you can move forward on the IS-7 because the Jagdtiger on that side is no longer a threat. For example, now the 263. Where's the 263? Doesn't matter right now, you're protected. Now the T-41's trying to attack. He's a one-shot, so he's easy to take out. However, there could be. The Jagdtiger was sort of moving in this direction, so he's probably going to be around there. So that's going to be difficult to deal with. Now, there's only 4 left on the team here, which is not very useful. One of them is the Kranvagn, that's pretty low on hit points, and here comes the Jagdtiger. I guess, I mean, obviously, hindsight's great if you've seen the replay before, but if you sort of observe enemy players' movements and positioning, you can most of the time sort of guess where they're going to be, and that's also very important. You want to have a good tank, first of all, because to the people that say, oh, every tank can be played well, that's just bullshit. Because there are tanks that are better than others. You're never going to do as well in a T-44-100 that you're going to do in a Object 590 or a Chimera or a good vehicle, right? You can do really well in terrible tanks, but you're never going to do as good on average in a bad tank than you can in a good tank. Now, here's the 263, has been revealed, and what you want to do here, if you watched the last sub replays, that was a lot about map control and sort of taking the high ground and having the high ground. That is also very useful here. Control the hill, because there's only one way to get up this hill. Now, there's a lot more ways to fire up the hill, but there's only one way to actually get up. So a position like this one can be extremely useful, especially if you're in a disadvantaged situation like this. Like, you wouldn't want to be stuck in a map corner on your own, but map control is very important, and high ground is too. Now, the Kranvagn takes out the Super Conqueror, shooting down at him with his, what is it, 12 degrees of gun depression now. So that's very useful. And that 263, what can he do? Well, he should play together with the IS-4, because the IS-4 is trying to attack the hill, but he is exposed from one side to the Concept 1B here, and to the other side to the E50. So whatever the IS-4 does, he's always going to be pincered in between 2 players. And that's not the way you want to play the game, right? You want to actually fight one side, because the IS-4 has really good front armor, but the side armor of pretty much any tank is no good against most shells. So you always only want to fight tanks that are directly in front of you. You don't want to have tanks on all sides, right? So positioning is also very important right here. Obviously, Lorenzo's playing this very well here. The E50 as well, staying on the other side of the map. But now here's the T-4E1 that was kept alive earlier. Jump down on him, take the opportunity to take him out. Again, reposition, and now this 263 can do absolutely nothing, because if he turns for the Concept, he's going to get shot by the E50. If he turns for the E50, he's going to get shot by the Concept. And now he's surrounded, and he's dead. And that is 6,200 damage right there. Pretty much staying on the hill the entire time, just moving around, finding opportunities, shoot that guy there, and don't get shot from the enemies enough. Because if you know where the enemies are, then you could fire at them. But if you know where the enemies are, you can also avoid them firing upon you. sort of like the enemy knows where it is by you knowing where it isn't. They're not a missile. But anyway, that is what you want to do. Control the map and then control the players. And now, oof. Next one, we have a bit of a problem because this is a Cobra, which is a meme tank, which means you buy it not to play well, but to have a meme of a vehicle, because armor isn't really a thing here. I mean, you can pen it with most premium rounds. It sort of has decent sloping, so you can avoid that, but it has HE and HESH, so 2.4k DPM, 400 alpha damage. It doesn't even have good alpha damage on these heat rounds, or good penetration, so it's largely a meme tank. It's also not very mobile. It's sort of a medium tank, well, it pretends to be one, but it's not really that mobile. So it's not a great tank like the Concept 1B. Now, what you want to do here? You found one. Isolate players. You don't want to fight multiple tanks at the same time, remember that. You always just want to fight one guy at a time, right? This ain't no orgy. This is World of Tanks Blitz. One guy at a time. You can do multiple one guys in a row. Nobody's going to judge you for that. But if you do multiple guys at the same time, that is going to end in a pretty bad situation for you. You're not going to live to tell that tale, right? Always just one guy at a time. Can be a girl too, but I think the chance of that happening in World of Tanks Blitz is very low. So, in this case, the Progetto is a fantastic target because he's alone and he's also at the bottom. Right here, fire down with the HE. Beautiful. You don't want to be that Progetto. If you remember the last video, solo 60 TP, if you watch the video, it works if you're aware of your position and you're aware of your exit routes. But if you're on your own and there's multiple guys charging you and you can't get away, then you shouldn't be in that position, because in Blitz, if you can't get yourself out of a position, it's your fault for getting in the first place, most of the time. So always know your exit plan before you know your entry plan, right? If you can't get out, don't get in, right? Because otherwise, 18 years of child support payments, blah, 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 all that kind of... You don't want that. You want to be safe from the start, then you're going to live to tell the tale, and you're going to have a great time. Don't ask. Well, actually, you can ask, but it doesn't matter. So, you can draw a lot of wisdom from World of Tanks Blitz for real life. Not really, but let's just pretend that you can, because otherwise this game has no point whatsoever besides buying gambling boxes. So, here, that Kranvagn is being attacked by the Kranvagn. You swoop in behind, and you take some free shots. Still full HP there. 3,000 damage, still full HP. Why would you take shots when your teammates can? A lot of times, your teammates even volunteer to get shot at instead of you. So, why wouldn't you want to make use of that? Like, never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. And in World of Tanks Blitz, most of the time, your teammates are also your enemies. So, use them wisely. Obviously, if you see a teammate that's doing a really good job, help them. But if you see a guy in a position that they shouldn't be in and they're losing hit points, don't put yourself on the line to lose with them. Because, like in a crashing airplane, you always put on the mask yourself first, and then you help other people. So, if you put yourself in danger to help a teammate, you're just gonna make losing more likely. You're not gonna win by dying with the teammate. You're gonna win by using a dying teammate to help you or the rest of your team that's still alive to get more damage, to get better positions, all those kind of stuff. So, like that Kranvagn, you wouldn't want to rush forward there and sort of protect him, because he's a Kranvagn out in the open on a flat ground. Like, he did that to himself. So what you want to do here is stay back, use the ground here, right? You got this little ledge that's very useful. So sit back and use that to your advantage. Because now, Kranvagn's gone, and if you drive forward, you'd also be gone. Because remember last battle, Crossfire, E50, Concept 1B, that's that exact situation right there. One tank one side, the other tank the other side. You don't want to go in there. You want to avoid that as much as possible. Now, taking snapshots can be really useful, but most of the time, they're going to be not worth the trouble. So what would you want to do here? Well, obviously, as always, one guy at a time. One guy, in this case, is the Tortoise, because the Tortoise can be one-shot. It also has a lot of DPM and has less alpha damage, so it's sort of... Tortoise is easier to kill and less threatening, but this is a Cobra, which is kind of bad at penetrating things, so you have to go for the Cupola or use the HE. And here's the Tortoise turning around and missing. And here comes the WT, which is what you don't want to do, and that's the kind of thing you have to anticipate. If you know where the WT was, you should know where he can be. Luckily, the Hesh is good enough to finish off the WT right there. Now again, when you see that WT and he goes unspotted, you should count in your head how long he's been unspotted and where can he be from that position, right? Because otherwise you're gonna have a nasty surprise like that one. Now we gotta watch out here because the Tortoise has decent gun depression, but he just sends his load prematurely. I mean, listen, I started it, we're gonna continue it. So he sends his load prematurely, and you don't want to do that. You want to be patient, right? You want to take your time, you want to get in and make it count, right? Because if you fire too early, no one's gonna have any fun and you're gonna die. Or again, you have 18 years of child support payments. Pick one. So you don't want that. Now, what you can do here is disengage, get away, disappear, start a new life in Argentina, become an alpaca farmer. I don't know, something like that. But definitely don't stay in a stalemate like that, because first of all, there's only 20 seconds on the clock, and if you stay in the same spot, that's where you're gonna be anticipated. And the Tortoise here, if he thinks, well, he doesn't. But if he would think, what is the easiest way to attack the Tortoise? This would have been the approach, but he turns the other way, which is a further path that wouldn't have been, like, there wouldn't have been enough time to get around the other side of the hill. So the Tortoise, they have massively miscalculated by turning to a way that Lorenzo could have never come from, because he wouldn't have had the time to. So think where the enemies can be all the time. Don't just register where they are. Also register where they can be, because that might help you quite a lot. Now, we got this Tier 9 German heavy tank that you don't need because Wargaming doesn't sell it properly, and any tank that's in crates and events is most of the time not worth it, and it's sort of decent. I mean, it's no Concept 1B, it's not worth it. So let's not get it too much into the tank, because this is about the gameplay and how to use the enemy, pretty much. So, what do you want to do in this situation? Go to the middle. You don't want to go to the heavy side. If you go to the heavy side on this map, nope, uncool, don't do that. Like that Scorpion. Oops, he's dead. But now, there is a single Chimera. And that single Chimera, well, maybe he's looking for some action, but again, you don't want to take multiple guys at the same time. He might be single, but he cannot handle all of these dudes at the same time. Just look at him getting pounded over there. Yeah, he's gone. You don't want to do that. You always want to take one enemy at a time and focus on that, because if you get surrounded like that, you have no chance to get out. And you're stuck, and you're screwed. Or you're getting screwed. Depends on where you are. So, KPZ, is he thinking? No. Because the KPZ could know that there were 3 guys taking out that Chimera, and they have to go somewhere. And one of those somewheres is right here, which the KPZ 70 could have anticipated if he turned his brain on. But he didn't. He just pushed forward. Now he lost all of his hit points. Now he did get Flying Monkey in the E50, which is, by the way, a great name. But he did get him. And he lost all his hit points for it. You don't want to lose all your hit points. I see that so many times, where you have a full hit point guy rushing in, losing all of his hit points just to take out a one-shot. That is not worth it, guys. It's never worth it. Right? And now the Moiskin, he's pushing forward into a German hull-down tank. That's a great idea. That's definitely a great idea. That's not going to go wrong. Do we have any more takers? Yes, we have the Chieftain as well. The Chieftain sees the Moiskin getting shot. He sees the KPZ-70 getting shot, and he just decides to just run through the shot anyway. Because Who needs hit points? Right? Like, the average Blitz player is about as smart as the average voter. Not very. So you can make use of that by simply... But here's the problem. You can't outthink someone that's not thinking. However, what you can do is make bad decisions for them. Right? Like, assume, what is the worst thing they could do? Or what is the worst thing that could happen to them in the moment? And then be that worst thing. Right? So, now, 2. One of them's healthy. That object, 752, gotta go. He should be the first point of contact here. The rest of them are tank destroyers. One of them is a Scorpion G, which is just a piece of paper driving around with a gun attached to the front. So that is going to be very easy to actually take out, but it does still have a very potent gun. Now the object, he knows where the KPZ is. He knows where this vehicle is. He knows where Lorenzo is. But he decides to just drive forward like an idiot anyway. And obviously drive into the Granada. Now gets shot. Here comes the object. The object also knows that he has no chance of killing the KPZ, but he also knows that he's gonna get killed. So driving forward like that, bad idea. Now the object, he's in a bad position because he's out in the open. And you don't want that to happen. Now here comes the Scorpion G way too late, because the Scorpion G should have already been right there with the object. If they would have been played together, shoulder to shoulder, well, side wall to side wall, I suppose, then this probably wouldn't have ended like it is ending now. But the Scorpion G, way too late, or the object came too early, who knows. So some people have a problem with that, I suppose. And now the Scorpion, what can you do? Nothing. Because, hull down. And he's dead. God damn. So, the moral of the story, be more like Lorenzo, only take one guy at a time, and watch out where guys are coming from.